What up, internet? Who you are, where you be, where you at, what you see. This is Pop Cult Parent, your favorite podcast that talks about pop culture and everything in between. I am one of your hosts, Mark M.F. Jones, and I am honored to be joined by...
This is Niels R.Y., a.k.a. You may not have my name, but you have my blood.
And this is Shannon, a.k.a. You think I wanted this? It just happened.
Yes.
Yes.
Good job, Shannon Smith.
Congratulations. You win, aka for the year. Thank you, Shannon. if you guys haven't figured it out, we are talking about fathers. It is tournament season, and we did a little March Madness episode last year. People liked that, so we wanted to find another way to bring a tournament episode to you guys, and we said, hey, dads, TV dads, let's talk about them. Let's put them against each other. Let's have them duke it out. So we're going to have a bracket lined up with the best TV dads of all time. Nels has a little bit of stats for us. He has the rules of how we're going to do this. And then we're going to get right into it. Take it away, Nels.
All right. So this is our first and probably only TV Dad March Madness bracket tournament. And a couple of things jumping in. So we're first, before we jump in, we're going to do honorable mentions for the folks who did not this list for specific reasons. But just to give you all some context on the bracket, it is a 16-team dad bracket. We do have some special play-in dads that will be coming into the tournament. We'll call that bracket the play-in bracket. We'll call it like worst TV dads ever in the play-in bracket. And as soon as you hear the names, you'll get to know a little bit about them. But before we jump in talking about each of the brackets and each of the TV dads in the bracket, fellas, I think it would be great if we talked a bit about the dads who will not be playing in this bracket. And I would like to start off first and foremost with, honestly, if this dad was in the tournament, I think it would be like a decisive win, which is Cliff Huxtable from The Cosby Show. Now we know there are things with The Cosby Show and specifically Bill Cosby, but we're not talking about that.
We're talking about the character of Cliff.
Yes. Cliff Huxtable.
Not Bill.
Not Bill. Cliff. And I gotta say this, I was a latchkey kid. That means I was partially raised by Cliff Huxtable. I very much so consider Cliff Huxtable in some way, shape, or form my dad, as well as the dad of all the other Huxtable children. I do think he is one of the greatest dads of all time, period. Even though he is a fictional character, I still think he is one of the greatest dads of all time. He will not be playing in this tournament. Mark has said in something in relation to his jersey is hanging from the rafters. And so we just wanted to give him a shout out before we jumped in.
His jersey is retired. He's commentating. He has nothing to prove.
Some other dads that will not be featured that we wanted to give a special shout out to. There is Jason Seaver from The Growing Pains. That is played by Alan Thicke. The man, the myth, the legend.
He is a legend. He is a
legend.
Alan Thicke is the man. He's the man.
He is. That's why I rocked with Growing Pains in the Seavers. That's why I was not watching Family Ties. Anyway, neither here nor there. Phil Dunphy from Modern Family. I didn't really watch Modern Family like that, but for those of folks who did, Phil was loved and, he was out here. Everybody loved him. Ron Swanson from Parks and Rec. Peter Griffin from Family Guy. Maybe not a good dad, but a historical dad that
the worst.
Shout out.
He might be, besides some people on our list, the worst dad that ever existed.
Oh,
he's just not a good person.
Yeah.
Just not a good person at all. I got one more person on my list, which is the Mandalorian. He might be a close number 2 to Cliff Huxtable. Even though he's not necessarily a safe dad, he is very much so a dad to one of the most powerful Jedis ever. Anyways, that's my honorable mention list.
All right, I got a couple I want to add to honorable mentions. My man Randy Marsh from South Park.
Yes,
Randy probably should have made the tournament, but it's okay.
Probably should have. In retrospect, yeah. In retrospect, he should have.
But hey, it's a tight list, right? It's a tight list. Frank Costanza from Seinfeld.
Yeah.
That You want a piece of me?
What was the holiday they celebrated?
Festivus.
Festivus.
Festivus for the rest of us.
Yes. The Festivus lamp.
Turn it out.
That was a good one. That's
God, he's a good guy. I'm going to say Tony Soprano. Maybe not a great dad, but a very well-known TV dad.
Depends who you're asking. Depends on who you're asking.
And pop cult, I'm just going to say this. Nels we went back and forth. Nels said that this person isn't a dad. I beg to differ. Optimus Prime. Optimus Prime is a father. He's a father to the Autobots and anybody he's command over. He has been a stepfather to every latchkey kid since 1986, and I don't hear nothing else about it. Optimus Prime is a father.
All right, I'm just going to say this really quickly. I only think there's about 2 Autobots who can claim Optimus as their father. Maybe 3. One will be Bumblebee. 2 will be Hot Rod. Hot Rod.
I'm sorry, Optimus. I'm sorry.
Hot Rod is probably like one of the few people that can actually claim him as a dad. But like, I say all that to say, like, Optimus is not a dad to everybody. He is just a great leader. He is just a great leader.
He's a father.
He's a father figure. He is a great leader.
I will hear nothing else about it.
He's not a dad. Just throwing that out there.
I'll throw mine in. So my honorable mention, great dad, oft forgotten, Fred Sanford. I would throw Fred Sanford in there. I mean, such a great father that his older son did not ever want to leave the house because he was at that point he was like 50 something, still living at home, I think.
And loved his wife.
Yeah,
so much so every time he felt pain in his chest, he got excited for the thought of reuniting with her.
Elizabeth, it's the big one. It's the big one.
Here I come, baby. Woo! You gotta be an LOVE love. That every time you think you're dying, you're like, this is it. I get to see my
I can't wait. Can't wait to see you.
Exactly. But yeah, no, so Fred Sanford, great one. And obviously love the show. Funny father, and he always had those moments where he talked so much smack and everything, but then he still have those tender moments. What was considered tender moments for like the 70s, like those tender moments. Where he's still like, okay, he loves his son. How could we not? Randall from This Is Us, just great, great father. He had 2 girls biologically, 1 adopted daughter, and then essentially the boyfriend of the adopted daughter. That was basically like a son to him as well. He was always dropping knowledge and great father figure, role model, all of that.
Shout out to Sterling K. Brown.
Yes, definitely. I did not stray far away. They say the apple does not fall far from the tree. So my other honorable mention is Jack Pearson. Jack Pearson is the father, the adopted father of Randall from This Is Us. Jack Pearson he's the epitome of father, and like anytime anybody is just considered a good man or a good father in that show, they're like, how does he stack up to Jack? Like
that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Those are my honorable.
He did adopt a black child into his very white family.
It kind of worked out for him. Like, oh, you don't have triplets anymore, but there's this one black baby available.
Then he turns out to be
Sterling K. Brown. Yo, good job, good job, Jack.
Yeah,
don't give that man enough credit.
In those flashbacks, that kid was not becoming Sterling K. Brown. I don't know who that kid was gonna grow up to be, but it was that Sterling K. Brown.
Oh man!
Hey, fellas, can I mention one person who I was gonna say we should put on the list, and I was like, man, this person is not a father, but if they were, they would have won. I feel like they would have won this list. Rock from the show
wasn't a dad.
He is not. I don't know.
Oh,
they don't have
real?
any children. I think they take in. I think in a later season they take in like a foster child for a little bit, maybe, but like. They didn't have any kids. It was him, his wife, and his brother, and his dad that lived in that house.
Oh,
hey,
yeah.
Mark, I gotta say this.
Was a kid.
I put my money on Rock. I put my money on Rock.
Rock was the dad to
I'd be
everybody.
curious to see how he stacked up against these folks in the tournament. Hey, I put a good $10 on it just to
Rock
see what
is
happens.
a heavy hitter, dog. Rock.
Just to see what happens. All right. So again, folks, this is a 16 dad bracket. We're gonna start off with the East region. First, there is a play-in tournament with Batman Goku. The winner of that will play Bandit. And then we're gonna go over like who all these people are. I'm just quickly naming this bracket for you. And then there's Bob from Bob's Burger, who will be playing Homer Simpson. So to give you a little bit of insight on all of these folks, the number one seed in this bracket is Bandit. Bandit is the dad from a 2018 cartoon show called Bluey. Bluey is a blue healer dog, and so is the rest of the healer families. And Bandit is the father of Bluey and her little sister, Bingo. Gentlemen, any insight on Bandit and Bandit being the number one overall seed in this tournament?
My oldest son, Luke, has started watching Bluey over the last maybe month or so. Today was the first time that I really sat down and watched like 5-6 straight episodes with him. So this is like, I finally really got to see Bandit in action. Bandit has all the tools. He's got the patience. He's got the determination that I believe in you. He is a strong number one seed. I finally got to see Bandit in action at its simplest, and it was poetry in motion. So
yeah. I'm gonna piggyback off of what Shannon said. Bandit is, this is his tournament to lose. Bandit just has a strong performance. He's patient, maybe the most patient dad on this whole tournament. Just very creative. The imagination, people strive to be like Bandit. I took my girls to soccer practice one day, and a guy had a Bandit shirt on, and I was like, Bluey? He's like, you know it. Bluey
man has people wearing his apparel like he is a Hall of Fame basketball player. That's hilarious.
Not only is he, let's be real, there's a lot of good dads on this list, right? Not even just in this bracket, but on this list. But Bandit is a good dad in a great television show. Nels, you and I talked about Bluey for a while. My youngest got into Bluey for a long time, and so now I'm into Bluey. My wife's into Bluey, and we've talked about this. Bluey, only competition of the greatest kids show of all time right now on TV might be Craig of the Creek.
That's it, and
it probably beats Craig of the Creek. I'm not even gonna lie, it probably does. Like, it might go down as the best kids show that was ever created. We're not here to talk about that right now, but I think Bandit's going to come in this tournament strong, and I think he's going to have maybe an easy ride to the finals.
Hey, strong regular season for Bandit, clearly. All right, so the number 2 seed in this bracket is Bob Belcher from Bob's Burger, a show that started in 2011 on Fox. It is played by the legend himself, H. John Benjamin. I just wanted to give extra credit and love to H. John Benjamin. He is a top tier Hall of Fame voice actor. I remember him from home movies. He's probably been on every
Coach McGurk.
Yes. He's probably been on every Adult Swim cartoon in some way, shape, or form.
He plays Archer in the Archer show.
He does play Archer, yes. Anyways, Bob is the father of Tina, Jean, and Luis. So, gentlemen, what do you all think about our number 2 seed, Bob from Bob's Burger? By the way, Bob's Burger had a movie long ago.
It did.
Yeah.
Shannon, I'll jump in. I think the Bob is a great dad. I think there's dads that we strive to be like. I think Bob is the best dad that people can be sometimes. He is a man that has been ridiculed, beaten down. He has a failing startup business, but he doesn't let it get him down. He is super supportive. I don't know if you guys watch Bob Burgers. I watch Bob's Burgers. He is super supportive. He is a very reluctant dad. He is not a very motivated dad, but he loves his kids and he is super supportive and he loves them. Like, they are weird. He will tell them, he's like, you're weird. His catchphrase is like, you're all terrible. You're all terrible. So he understands like the mess that is his family, but at the end of the day, he's there for them and he loves them. And I think, he might be someone to watch in this tournament.
Sadly, on this one, I gotta play the whole West Coast excuse. I guess Bob's Burgers is he's in the Pac-12 conference here, so it's West Coast. So I really haven't seen any of them in action.
When his games come on, you're already asleep. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So I really haven't seen any of Bob's Burgers.
I think we just got to give credit to Bob, probably one of the newest dads on this list, and came in as a 2 seed. That's gotta stand for something. Okay. And I know animated shows on Fox have done well, but Fox is still Fox. If you last more than 3 seasons of Fox, I'm impressed. I am impressed. And Bob has been going on strong for over 10 years. So shout out to Bob. The 3 seed in this bracket, funny enough, is the king when it comes to Fox animated shows, and that is Homer J. Simpson from The Simpsons, a show that started in 1989 and is still going on, voiced by Dan Castellaneta. And Homer is the father of Bart, Lisa, and Maggie. Gentlemen, what do you all think about Homer coming into the tournament?
Homer is an OG, just as you said. He's not new to this. He's true to this. He has been father. I think he has been a father maybe longer than I have been alive. Is that possibly?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. But no, give or take. But no, Homer. Yeah, Homer is amazing. Happy to see him here, and he's definitely been a favorite of mine growing up watching. One of the first very inappropriate fathers, especially in cartoon form that I saw. Helps make us all the man that we are today.
Yeah, I got to give credit where credit's due. When Homer came on the scene, the Simpsons were a force of nature in pop culture. Like people, when we have things now like South Park, Rick and Morty, things like the Simpsons don't look as polarizing or controversial. Pop cult, it was a thing. Like the Simpsons were a public enemy number one for like the standard of living for America, the standard of family. Ronald Reagan had issues with the Simpsons. He had thoughts about the Simpsons. I remember being in elementary school and a boy getting suspended for wearing a Bart Simpson t-shirt. Like it was a big deal, and the whole thing was, this whole dysfunctional family, this isn't America, this isn't a good family. And I know I'm talking more about the Simpsons than Homer, but Homer is a big part of that. He is a huge part of the show. I don't know if you guys have kept up with the Simpsons, but I want to say from like maybe around the 10th season, it became the Homer show. Like at first it was kind of like the family show, the Bart show, but somewhere around maybe like season 10, 11, it became the Homer show featuring everyone else. And there's a reason for that. He's a classic TV dad. I think he's played the game a little too long. I think he should have retired a couple years ago. But and I think that affects his performance. But he deserves to be in this tournament, and he is going to be. He shouldn't be taken lightly.
Yeah, I would say Homer and the Simpsons are like the Dragon Ball Z of adult cartoons. Right. And they've been going all long, but they definitely started. And there are some better ones out there, but they would not exist if it wasn't for the greatness of the Simpsons. And speaking of Dragon Ball Z, let's talk about our play-in TV dads. So in the play-in tournament, the winner of these 2 dads would go on to play Bandit. Our play-in tournament, also known as the worst TV dads ever, feature number 1, Goku from Dragon Ball Z. 1989 to 1996 was the original run of Dragon Ball Z, voiced by Masako Nazawara and Sean Schmel. And Goku is Goku is the father of Gohan and Goten. And yeah, Goku is Goku. So, gentlemen, how do you all feel about Goku coming in the play-in tournament?
I think I would rather have people doubt me more than I would rather have Goku believe in me. And this is because if you are someone, his own son, because he believed in his own son, he almost got him killed because he is a dad. Yeah, if he believes in you, you are in trouble because and what I'm referencing is, I'm sure everyone remembers Teen Gohan. He said, "Hey, my son can beat Cell. I know he can. This person who none of us can beat. So Cell, here's a sensu bean.
Here's the sensu bean.
The sensu bean.
And then when everyone else, Goku, what are you doing? It wouldn't be fair, guys.
Yeah.
Oh
so
God.
that's
Yo,
how-
Shannon, that is the realest thing ever. Please don't believe in me, Goku.
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
that moment when Cell is just like rocking Gohan. And Piccolo is like, do you know what your son's thinking right now? He's thinking, why is my father going to watch me die?
He's just like, oh, well, I never thought about that. He could die, I guess. No.
Yep.
Yeah.
Worst TV dads.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna come that hard on Goku. I think it's very, and Shannon, like I think your take on Goku was spot on. I'm not gonna come that hard because I think he wanted to be a good dad, but I think who he is just it's just so embedded in his DNA. We forget when Dragon Ball Z first started, what did Goku first do? He brought his son to his friends, not to be in a tournament, not to train, right? He brought his son to see his lifelong friends. And then what happened? His alien space brother kidnapped that son, and was the first thing he does. Bulma, give me a dragon radar. Piccolo, you're my enemy, but I need my son. Let's go. I'm like, hey, like that. I gotta give respect where respect's due. Like that takes a lot. Somewhere after that,
I'm just gonna throw this out here. He does not keep that same energy.
he does not.
He does not
it.
keep that same energy from the first arc of Dragon Ball Z. That is it.
I mean, it immediately went downhill because then he was like, Piccolo, we've been friends for about 5 minutes, but I need you to take care of my son for
My
like
mortal enemy for many episodes. Take care of my son.
I'll just see something about fighting Vegeta. Just Goku saw what was out there in life. He just saw what life had to offer, and he became Will Smith's dad, his real dad in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I'm sorry, Gohan. This just happened.
That's real. All right, and Goku has the pleasure of playing Batman, also known as Bruce Wayne, from the animated series Batman that was featured on Fox and WB from 1992 to 1995, voiced by Kevin Conroy. And Batman is the pseudo father to Dick Grayson. Well, actually, he is the legal guardian of Dick Grayson and the pseudo father to Tim Drake and Barbara Gordon. Gentlemen, how do you all feel about Batman coming into this tournament?
Somewhat similar to Goku. He doesn't have a huge problem with putting his family in danger, which you would think that's sort of how you became Batman, because your family was in danger and maybe you shouldn't. But hey, sometimes I don't know if we learn our lessons.
That's way too much logic you putting in there, Shannon.
I know.
My family is put in danger. What do? Recruit people to be my family and put them in mortal danger. Every night. Yes. Yeah. For justice.
Yeah, Batman's a tough one because there's the psyche of it. It's like, what are you doing here, man? Are you trying to give these kids a better life, or are you making an army? And it's hard, man, because I tell you what, if these kids don't, well, they are crime fighters, but let's say you took the training of Bruce Wayne and you did not become a crime fighter, you could become the next Lex Luthor. You could become the richest, most powerful, strongest person on Earth. So it's like you get amazing skills, you get amazing knowledge, but you are turned into a child soldier at the same time. So but he's Batman. So I mean, it's okay, right? Because he's Batman.
Mm-hmm.
We have accepted it because he's Batman. I don't know if it's okay. All right, gentlemen. So let's start the East bracket. Let's jump in. First, we're having Batman versus Goku. Who is the best dad?
I'll go. I give this one to Goku, guys, just because at the end of the day, Goku might be neglectful, but he's still loving. Like, he still loves Gohan and Goten. There was that moment in Super where he found out in a different life that Goten and Chi-Chi got killed, and he lost it. So he still loves his family. It's just fights mean more than seeing them. So I got to give it to Goku. He's still a loving father at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I'm like pumping my fist. Yes, I also chose Goku here. Yeah, obviously my love for Dragon Ball Z, but yeah, Goku. Period. The points that you mentioned there, and just the fact that even though it is dangerous, like, I don't know if there's anyone else who believes in their children more than Goku, even though it might kill you. Who else believes in their kids that much?
This sucks, but I agree. But it's not for the same reasons. I actually was like, the real question is, who do they trust to raise their kids? Because they're not really raising them. And so the question is, who do I like more, Piccolo or Alfred? And while Alfred is a great guy, Piccolo is a black man. So Piccolo might be one of the best TV dads ever. So Piccolo, I gotta say, Piccolo was the dad who stepped up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Piccolo's such Piccolo should have been on this list.
Piccolo should have been on this list.
He should have been on this list. Piccolo's such a good dad. He's become a grandfather. He is Pan's grandfather now. Like, he's that good of a dad.
Pan may not even know what Goku looked like, but Pan stays with Piccolo on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Anyways, Goku won, unanimous. Let's move on. Next, we have Bob from Bob's Burger versus Homer from The Simpsons. Who is the best dad?
I gave it to Bob Belcher. I love Homer. I love The Simpsons. Homer is extremely selfish. Now, once he's called out on that selfishness, he tries to make it right. He's extremely selfish. He would be a nightmare to live with. He let, I don't know if you guys seen the Simpsons movie, but he let Bart be tied to a pole naked so he wouldn't be in trouble. Like, that is not a good father. That's a bad father. And he's not. Bob would never do anything like that to his kids.
I completely forgot all about that. That part. so I'm gonna say
it's like shuffling his papers.
Yeah.
He's like, oh my god.
But I'll say, barring that piece of information that was just given to me right now at this moment, I chose Homer. I chose Homer. But in all honesty, again, because I really haven't seen Bob's Burgers, but also I figured, hey, Homer's been in the game for so long. Yeah, he's selfish, but I feel like there's been some growth somehow, somewhere, and he loves his family. That's all I can say.
Despite the fact that for probably the first 12 years of The Simpsons, a gimmick was Homer literally abusing his oldest son by choking him.
Chokes him.
Why you little, and chokes him. Besides that being a 12-year gimmick on The Simpsons, until I believe they realized it's probably not okay to do that. If we're going for sheer stats, it's just from the sheer fact that Homer's been on the game for a long time that I have seen more scenes of him where I'm just like, damn, good job, Homer, for me to go with Homer over Bob. I'll just pick one specific scene, and that is when Homer realizes he has to work at the power plant. And that sign that says you'll be here forever is just pictures of Maggie. It is still etched in my memory. And at the end of the day, that goes back to, like, it still hits here for me. So I have to pick Homer.
Homer has his moments. It's a good one. It's a good one. Yeah.
And also with that, just mention that scene. I forgot what the sentence equated to, but like I said, it said you'll be here forever. But with those pictures, he made it basically say like you do it for her, or you're
Yeah, something like that.
something, yeah, something for her. I'm like, yeah, that's deep. That's deep.
All right. So Homer is going to move on, and let's see who Homer faces. So our number 1 seed, Bandit from Bluey versus Goku from Dragon Ball Z. in almost like any other question we would ask, the answer would be Goku. But the question is, who is the best dad?
I don't know why people showed up to this game. This is like the easiest, beat of all time. There's a mercy rule. Bandit takes this. He doesn't even break a sweat. The bench, Chili and then Lucky's dad come and play because Bandit only played the first quarter. He's the best. He's way better than Goku. He's more engaged than Goku, and Bandit takes this for me.
Well, hey, I gotta say they don't call it March Madness for no reason. So I chose. No, I'm messing. Yeah, I chose Bandit. Like easily. Yes, for all the reasons you said. Yeah, easily Bandit takes this. Yeah, somewhere mid first quarter, Bandit is like, yeah, let me just go ahead and
rest those knees.
Yeah, rest those knees for the rest of the tournament.
This is for those of you all who watched Attack on Titan, the equivalent of this game is like the first 2 episodes of Attack on Titan. It's the town versus the giant naked zombies. Pure sheer chaos. That's how good Bandit demolishes Goku in this game. Bandit is moving on. Let's
almost like when Cell was beating up on Gohan.
Facts. All right. To figure out who is going to the Final Four, we have Bandit from Bluey versus Homer J. Simpson from The Simpsons. Gentlemen, who is the best dad?
I'm going to sound like a broken record. Bandit. I know Homer's been in the game for a long time. He deserves your respect. But Bandit is that up-and-comer. He's not a rookie, but this is maybe, his 3rd, 4th year in the league. He is a force to be reckoned with, and he will finish his career as maybe the greatest TV dad of all time. So he beats Homer Simpson.
Yeah, definitely. Bandit goes forward here. I want to say this game sort of reminds me of the Dallas Mavericks or the San Antonio Spurs, like that point in the maybe mid 2000s when they were like, oh, they have been solid, good teams for a long time, but they have no youth. Like they have no, like everybody on there is old. That's how this one reminds me. Homer's been here for a long time, and this is where that whole youth piece shows out because, yeah, Bandit runs circles around him.
Bandit, congratulations. You're moving on to the Final Four. Let's move on to the next bracket. This is the Midwest bracket. The number 1 seed in this bracket. Oh, well, let me just name all the players first. We have Dan Connor from Roseanne, Walter White from Breaking Bad, Carl Winslow from Family Matters, and Julius from Everybody Hates Chris. So a little bit about our TV dads. Dan Connor, number 1 seed from Roseanne. Roseanne ran from 1988 to 1997 originally. It is an ABC sitcom. Dan Connor is played by John Goodman. He is the father of DJ, Darlene, and Becky Connor. By the way, just so y'all know, when it comes to accolades, John Goodman was nominated damn near every year for an Emmy or Golden Globe for playing Dan Connor and Roseanne. He may be one of the most decorated dads on this list, just to give you all a heads up. What are y'all thoughts on Dan Connor coming in as a 1 seed in the Midwest bracket?
Yeah, Dan's a solid. He's kind of a force to be reckoned with. He is a dad in every sense of the word. Roseanne, the big draw about that show was a blue collar family who's barely making it, barely hanging on, and Dan was the man. He was a force to be reckoned with. He didn't play no mess, but he rolled with the punches with Roseanne. Loves his kids. He had that I'm gonna fight this guy energy. I'm gonna fight you because I'm the man of the house, and I think he might surprise a lot of people in this tournament.
Yeah, I want to say with Dan Connor, I think also there's a huge piece where he's sort of a crowd favorite, or a huge piece where he's we're just across America, because when it comes to say voting and things, we always have that, oh, it's a blue collar family and we got to make sure we do things and reach out to the blue collar families. So I definitely think our crowd loves him as well. But yeah, great dad.
I hate to like look behind the wall, but John Goodman's a great man, because he had to work with Roseanne Barr all those years and still gave us the performance of a lifetime in Dan Connor. This man was a blues brother, and yet I still remember him as Dan Connor. He has made some pivotal roles. He was in The Big Lebowski, but I still remember him as Dan Connor. Dan Connor is a great dad. Thank you, John Goodman, for your sacrifice. All right, let's move on. Our number 2 seed is Carl Winslow from Family Matters. Family Matters ran from 1989 to 1997 originally from ABC. It is played by none other than Reginald Vell Johnson. Yes, the same Reginald Vell Johnson who also played a cop in Die Hard. If the cop was named Carl, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't remember his name, but he also played a cop in Die Hard. And Carl is the father of Eddie, Laura, and Judy for a little bit, and pseudo dad to Little Richie, 3J, and of course Steve Urkel.
Let's just be real. You mentioned, from Die Hard. Let's just be real. The whole movie Die Hard, it was a backdoor pilot just so we could see if Carl Winslow should have his own show. That's all. That all the action, all of that. It was for Carl Winslow. It was crowd testing. Yes, Carl Winslow gets a show. So, but no, yeah, Carl Winslow, amazing dad. To everyone you mentioned, and also, Steve Urkel as well, essentially, father figure to him, and black man in law enforcement. So, yeah.
Shannon, everything you said is true. Carl Winslow deserves respect. This man, well, his family name is a Wiz Khalifa line. I smirk Urkel like the Winslows. So
knew that was coming. I knew it was coming.
He is a staple. I don't know if you guys have watched Family Matters, and I think Family Matters is due for a go back for the show.
Yes.
It is filled with toxic people. Steve Urkel is a toxic predator, and Carl Winslow is a toxic, petty father. Now, he deserves respect. He has his great moments, classic TV dad moments, but man, Carl is a petty man. I'm conflicted with Carl because he has great lessons, like the lesson where Eddie had that hot stereo in his car and Carl had it taken out and he's like, oh, I felt scared and I felt upset. And Carl's like, well, that's how that person felt when you took it from their car, Eddie. Great moments, right? When Rachel's was about to get destroyed by that gang and Carl comes in and saves the day. Carl has great moments, but he also
has a lot of great moments.
He has a lot of great moments, but he's really, really petty. And if I was Steve, I would not come back to that house. Like he's a menace. I understand, but you're not wanted there, Steve. No one wants you in that house. And
hey, Mark, I don't want to interrupt you, but if Steve Urkel kept coming to your house, how would you act?
No, but this is what I'm getting at. This is where I'm getting at. This man is harassing your daughter, following her, making robots to like show his and you're
he changed his DNA for your
and
daughter.
You're a cop. I would have handled Steve Urkel a lot in season 1. I would have handled Steve Urkel if I was Carl Winslow. You're not my daughter, dog. Not my you're not harassing my family to stalk my daughter. I'm sorry. But so that's where I stand on Carl Winslow. I still think he has great moments, but going back with a critical eye, he's not as great as I thought he was.
Went in on Carl. Mark was waiting for this day. I I will save my theory on Steve, the Winslows, and the Urkel family for whenever we do our Family Matters go back. But I will say Carl Winslow has some fantastic moments. He deserves to be the 2 seed. Yeah, and Reginald Bell Johnson is an amazing actor. He deserves his just due.
Yes.
He came in, it was going to be him and Harriet, and it was going to be a blue-collar Cosby show. And Steve Urkel and Jaleel White took that away from him, and he had to do that for almost 10 years. A show he didn't like, he had to do it for 10 years. It was a staple of TGIF. He hated it.
My blue-collar Black family Chicago show turned into, I'm going to jump into this time machine with Steve Urkel.
Poor guy. And we love the show. We love Family Matters. That poor guy.
And pop quote for the record, just because I'm critical about something does not mean I don't enjoy it. Does not mean it's not dear to my heart. I'm just being real. I'm just being me. That's all.
All right, let's move on. So the 3 seed is Julius from Everybody Hates Chris. This was a 2005 to 2009 UPN show back when UPN existed. This was played by Terry Crews, and Julius was the father of course, Chris, Drew, and Tanya. What are y'all thoughts on Julius, aka Chris's dad from Everybody Hates Chris in the tournament?
Julius was what we call a BMW. He was a black man working. Like I feel like
Facts.
he was either at work or sleeping so he could then go to work just to rest. And just his other piece, he instilled, or he tried to instill in his kids what you want every father to: financial literacy. Which equated for him to just being cheap. Like, I will break down, if you have a glass of milk, I can tell you how much that costs because 3 ounces of milk is this. So yeah, financial literacy. Rich dad, poor dad.
I'm gonna
just poor dad.
Well said, Shannon. I'm gonna try to make this very quick. I mentioned a woman who babysat me when I lived in Savannah, Georgia, before in the show, called Miss Thelma. Miss Thelma was a great, great woman. Miss Thelma had a husband. And her husband, what I remember about him, to me, at the time, he was 8 feet tall. He had a huge beard. He came in because he worked nights. So he came in the morning. He had a hard hat, and this man had a charcoal black, like, metal lunch pail that Miss Thelma would always fill for him. And this man, I remember one time Miss Thelma made me like a sandwich, and she made it with I forgot what it wasn't peanut butter and jelly, it was peanut butter and something else, and I was like ugh, and I threw the sandwich away, and her husband came out and he said, "Hey boy, weren't you eating the sandwich?" And I said, yeah, I was eating the sandwich, but I didn't like it. He's like, "Well, where's the sandwich?" And when a kid, when you start to have a conversation, you're like, "Huh, am I in trouble? I don't think I'm in trouble, but I'm gonna keep talking." And so I was like, "Well, I didn't want it." He said, "Well, where's the sandwich, boy?" And I pointed to the trash can. He said, "You threw that sandwich away in that trash can?" And fellas, I was like, this is the first moment in my life I was like, oh my God, a man who's not my father is about to whoop my ass.
I'm gonna have to fight for my life.
And he said, "Come here, boy." And I went and I got the sandwich at the trash can. He said, "I'm not gonna make you eat this, but don't you ever waste food again." And I said, "Yes, sir." And I put, well, he didn't. Here's the thing: he didn't make me eat it, but I put the sandwich back on the table and I just left.
He was so mad he didn't know what to do. And I can't hit him. Can I hit him? No, we need that money.
and I just say that because I feel like Julius was that, but with a lot more compassion. Julius didn't waste no money. Fellas, I'm almost 40, and I still think about that moment to this day. I was like, wow, this man is not my father. He's about to whoop my ass. Julius didn't waste a dime, but he did it for his family. He did it because he loved them, and he knew how hard it was out there. He knew how hard it was for a black man to make it, and how good his kids had it, and he didn't want to lose that, and that's why he was so cheap. And I honor him for it. He's a great dad for it. He probably could have took it easy just a little bit, but hey, it wouldn't be as funny.
Well, let's see how this goes. We have Julius versus Carl Winslow. Gentlemen, who's the best dad?
I go Carl. I take Carl Winslow on this one. Again, all the things we mentioned. He's got the petty. He's got the blue collar job, law enforcement, and I mean, I think I can't really reiterate that enough, because I think something that really stands out is because of working in law enforcement, he was able to go up to a cop who profiled his son and was like, basically told him about himself. He had a badge, he could do that. That would not have worked for any other black father without a badge. So got to give him that.
You know what? Shannon, this might surprise you, but I took Carl. I took Carl. And the reason why I took Carl, because like you said, those moments like when you went to the cop, you say, I don't know how that badge stays on you when it's attached to scum. Big diss for the early 90s. Right now, get the hell out of my face. What are you talking about? But Carl was always there, and he didn't. I feel like Julius could get blinded by saving and miss the lessons in life. And for as petty and ridiculous as Carl was, he was always there for the major lessons in life. And so that's why I gave him this. I have my issues with him, but I respect his game.
So Carl's moving on. I'm just letting y'all know I had no idea who to pick on this one. Mostly because while Julius is very cheap, and I don't actually consciously remember any of the great dad moments he actually had for Chris, what I do know is all his kids were in the show the entire run of Everybody Hates Chris. That is, I cannot say that Carl Winslow did the same thing.
Oh, yes.
Judy went upstairs one time and she never came back down.
She never came back.
And no one talked about it. And Carl just so happens to work in law enforcement. All I'm saying is that never happened in Everybody Hates Chris. So I'm just throwing that out there. Anyways, Carl is moving on. Let's find out who he plays. So we have Dan Connor. Oh, I forgot our fourth seed. I forgot to mention our fourth seed. Excuse me. So let's talk about who Dan Connor is going to play. And that is none other than Mr. Walter White himself from Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad ran from 2008 to 2013 on AMC. It was played by Mr. Bryan Cranston, and Walter White is the father of Walter Jr. Gentlemen, how do y'all feel about Walter White in this tournament?
Many times in our life, we may have to make pivots in our careers and the way we think. And so he really showed how you can make a career pivot into a lucrative business. He was a teacher, and then went into, as we would call it, street level pharmaceuticals. But very, very, very lucrative. And you always want to know how you can be flexible. And so. Yeah, that's Walter White. Pivot.
Walter, he is the one who knocks. He got into the meth game with good intentions. He was at a point where he could have set his family up for extreme success. It would have been from blood money. It would have been from drug money. But he could have set his family up to be living very, very well. But that ego got in the way. Like Mike said, your ego, Walter, your stupid ego ruined it for everybody. And it's true. Walter White's ego trumps any good father moments he could have had. He ruined multiple people's lives just because of his ego. And I don't know. I don't know how you guys are going to place him, but I think he's going to be going home pretty soon.
he was a really good chemist. Like, that's about his only redeeming quality. The show is called Breaking Bad for a reason. He, like, everyone's life got ruined, Mark. I'm trying to sit here and think, whose life did it get ruined? Everyone's life got ruined. And I didn't even finish the show, but I can confidently tell you everybody's life got ruined. In all the episodes I saw, nobody's life got better because of Walter White. Anyways, let's move on. So we have Dan Connor from Roseanne versus Walter White from Breaking Bad. Who's the best dad?
Dan's the man. That's all I gotta say.
Yep. Dan.
All right.
Yeah, Dan goes for it. Yep.
So now we have the battle of the ABC dads. I promise you, I did plan it to be just like this. We have Dan Connor from Roseanne versus Carl Winslow from Family Matters.
Dan is a dad. You heard the saying. It's, what is it? Hard times make good men. Good men make easy times. Easy times make like weak men. Weak men make hard times. I feel like Dan is the type of man that will like teach you through the hard times and still make you a good man, still make you a good person. Carl, however, though, I think Carl is he wants his children to succeed, and through all his pettiness and everything, he will make sure that his kids succeed, and he'll make sure that they're happy while they're doing it. He wants them to be happy. At the end of the day, he might fight with them. He wants them to be happy. But I think I'm going to give this to Dan. I just think when times get rough, a dad like Dan is the kind of dad you really want in your corner. And this is a very hard decision.
No, tough one. I went Carl on this one. And yeah, I mean, I'd say, again, Carl being great dad, this and that. I look at, too, just how he sort of rolled with the punches as well, and just like how things changed. Like all of it, everybody hated Steve Urkel. And then all of a sudden, things change. Okay, I'm becoming close with Steve. I'm understanding his situation. Oh, now later on, I mean, at the very end, turns out my daughter is like in love with Steve, or Steve variant. It's sort of both happened.
Steve variant.
But and then it was like, oh, well, that's life now. And then even like, oh, look, I have one less child. Oh, that's life now. Like, but no, I went Carl Winslow. So.
I'm so petty, but I'm picking Carl. And let me tell y'all why I'm petty. It's because Dan Connor is the father of DJ. And DJ is one of the most punkiest little boys I have ever seen in any TV show ever.
He is terrible.
He is a punk.
Is.
Eddie Winslow is not a punk. Eddie Winslow, give him for what he is no Theo, but Eddie Winslow is not a punk. You know what I'm saying? DJ very much so is a punk. And I have a lot of problems with Carl. But I put him over Dan because of DJ. DJ is such a punk.
DJ is a punk. He is a punk.
It's like the thing where instead of being punished for the sins of your father, it's like the father's being punished for
the sins of the son.
Yeah, for the sins of the son.
Yes.
It's hard to imagine a man like Dan produces a son like DJ.
That may not be his. I don't see it. I don't see it, man. So yeah, Carl. Congrats, Carl. You are making it Carl. To the Final Four. Now we are moving on to the West bracket. The players in the West bracket include Philip Banks from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Al Bundy, and Rick Sanchez, who will be in the play-in tournaments. Al Bundy is from Married with Children. Rick Sanchez is from Rick and Morty. And we have Dan Tanner, Full House, and Red Forman, 70 Show. So our number one seed is Philip Banks. Philip Banks is from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, like I shared. 1990 to 1996. Only 6 years, y'all. Definitely felt longer. Mm-hmm. It's an NBC sitcom played by the late, great James Avery. And Judge Philip Banks was the father of Carlton, Hillary, Ashley, Nikki, and the pseudo parent of course, Will. How y'all feel about Phillip Banks in the number 1 seed for the West bracket?
In this bracket, I mean, Phillip Banks has it all. He's got the tools. I mean, he is a successful judge, a successful Black judge. Didn't see that much in early 90s. On TV at least.
Any?
yeah. Successful Black judge. Family has brought about generational wealth to his family while still showing you those surprises of like, look, I can still get down. I can play pool. I'm this and that. I'm teaching the life lessons. Just great father. Yeah.
First things first, rest in peace, Uncle Phil. For real.
Mm-hmm.
You the only father I ever knew. I mean, not me. Those are the words of J. Cole. But no, man, Uncle Phil is a force to be reckoned with. He is uncle to the main character of the show that he's in, and we are putting him in the tournament as one of the best dads of all time. James Avery was a force. This man will be missed. And he was Shredder.
He was Shredder.
He was
Shredder.
He was running the Foot Clan and trying to get Will to college at the same time. Come on. But Uncle Phil was just the best, dude. Uncle Phil, because he didn't put up with Will's stuff, but he would do anything for that guy. He would do anything for Will. He wanted him to succeed. And Uncle Phil was funny. Like not to go back to Carl, I don't remember really laughing at Carl a lot. I remember laughing at things that happened to Carl, but Uncle Phil was funny. So not only was he a great dad, he was a funny character, and he deserves to be positioned where he's at, and he's a force to be reckoned with.
Real quick, I'm just gonna sing Uncle Phil's praises. He made everybody better. He made everybody funnier. Like a scene with Phil by himself was great, but any of those other characters with Uncle Phil, that character, that was their best scene. Yeah. Like any character on the Fresh Prince, when they're with Phil and it's just them two, that's their best scene. And I know that just speaks on the greatness of James Avery, but that also speaks on the greatness of a character like Uncle Phil. So yeah, he's clearly deserving to be a number 1 seed. Let's talk about some of the others on this bracket, these poor souls who have to go against Uncle Phil. So the 2 seed, we have Danny Tanner from Full House. Full House was an ABC sitcom that went from 1987 to 1995. Played by, of course, the late, great Bob Saget. And Danny was the father to DJ, Stephanie, and Michelle Tanner. How y'all feel about Danny Tanner coming into the tournament?
He was very welcoming because, I mean, as the story goes with Full House, I mean, it really, like, realistically, he was like, all y'all can come live in my house, and he just made it work. And also, I just want to say there's a little duality there, just between him and Bob Saget in real life, like Bob Saget's comedy and everything. And I'm just like, I don't know. Sometimes you want that because I think that's many, to an extent, that's many of us. It's like, look, I ain't always been this serious dad. Like, look, this is some stuff I do on the side. When I'm not being a dad, this is some stuff I do. So, so yeah.
Yeah, fellas, I would watch Full House for the theme song, and then I would immediately turn the channel. Like, I had no interest in what that family was up to, what they did. I mean, I saw a couple moments with Danny being a good father. He seems kind of like a pushover. It seemed like he comes off as a good dad, but it seems like he's extremely lucky those girls' uncles live with him. Otherwise, that house would be chaos. I feel like that house would be chaos. It would be madness because he would be like, "Oh, I'm your dad, and I'm gonna make you pancakes, Michelle." And if Uncle Jesse and who's the other uncle?
The other one.
The other one.
Yeah.
The other one, right? If they weren't there, those girls would grow up and it would
Joey.
be some trouble. It would be a lot of cigarettes, a lot of black makeup. Like it would be a rough time. So I think he's a loving father, a great father. I don't know. We'll have to see how he does in this tournament.
Yeah, I think this just shows you the greatness of your team because he's a 2 seed here and did a great job in the regular season because of Uncle Jesse. Uncle Jesse carried that team. He's a great Scottie Pippen because he got Danny to the 2 seed. But Uncle Jesse is the star. Anyways, let's keep it moving. Danny Tanner will be playing Red Forman. Red Forman is from the 70s show, 1998 to 2006 Fox sitcom, played by Kirkwood Smith, the same guy who killed Alex Murphy in RoboCop.
Yes, RoboCop. Yes,
the same guy who led that malicious evil gang to slaughter Alex Murphy in broad daylight. That's who plays Alex one of the best TV dads
yes
in history. That same man, that same evil man. I'm sorry, I digress.
No,
Let me catch my breath.
Again, that's what it shows you when people are like, hey, I haven't always been a parent. Like, you know, I had a life before being a parent. His life was apparently killing RoboCop before he was a dad and settled down.
Anyways, let's move on. So Red Forman is the father of Eric and Lori. And yeah, how do y'all feel about Red entering the tournament?
Dude, I love Red. I love Red. He is not the most sensitive dad, but he does love Eric and Lori. But he brings the fear. He rules. Like, what you guys seen a Bronx Tale? What he's like, is it better to be loved or feared? Red rules with fear, but he does it through love. His signature, I'm gonna put my foot in your ass, like you dumbass. It's all because of love. I love Red Forman, one of the best TV dads of all time.
Yeah, no, I love that. Again, I agree with you there, Mark. Love that he's here, and yeah, definitely was not the most sensitive. So I love that. Which, you know, I don't know. Sometimes we can sort of sort what Eric can sort of sort through that in therapy. Like, did it work? Was it worth it? I don't know.
But find out this and more on the 90s show. I just gotta say, y'all, if y'all ever wanted to know the kind of dad I wanted to be, I aspire to be Red Forman. Like, in case you want to know, when I wake up and look at my children, who am I trying to embody? I am trying to embody Red Forman. He is the closest thing to an African dad there is on this list. The closest. He is the father I want to be. I love Red Forman. Anyways, let's move on. So our play-in tournament features 2 interesting dads. One is Al Bundy from Married with Children, the 1987 to 1997 Fox sitcom, played by Ed O'Neill, father of Kelly and Bud Bundy. And of course, I feel obligatory to say this. He once scored 4 touchdowns in a single game. That is Al Bundy. How do y'all feel about Al Bundy coming in?
It's great that he's there. Honestly, I don't know many positives that he brings, but you know, we need we need that wild card. We need something exciting. He definitely brings the excitement, and yeah, that's all I can say about it.
Al Bundy is a warning. Al Bundy is the type of father you will become when you don't put your marriage first, when you don't go to therapy, when you don't strive to be more than you were. I used to only watch Married and Children for the theme song and to see Kelly. I could care less. I could care less about anyone else in that family. I thought Al had some funny moments, but he is a bitter man. I don't know that he even likes his wife. But to give him credit, it was along the side, the time with the Simpsons, that wasn't shown on TV. You didn't get a dad who might have hated his family, hated his life, and it was just salty and thought his family was the worst. And so I give Al Bundy credit opening that door to a more not critical, but a different eye on what a dad could be on TV. I give him that credit.
Yeah, I just gotta say, if someone tells you they work at Foot Locker, you kind of look at them with some type of like, oh, okay, that's what's up. That's what's up. That's cool. But if you said they were a shoe salesman, it would be an insult. And I think that's because Al Bundy has signified you are a loser if you are a shoe salesman. When I think of folks who work at Foot Locker, I do not think loser. But Al Bundy has made it so if you tell someone you are a shoe salesman, they think of you and they do not want to be you. That is why he is one of the worst TV dads on the planet. And he's going against Rick Sanchez from Rick and Morty, the 2013 Cartoon Network. Thank you for the obligatory burp. Cartoon Network sitcom, played most recently by Justin Roiland. And Rick is the father of Beth and Space Beth. How do y'all feel about Rick coming into the tournament?
Sadly, I gotta do a similar thing. Apparently, for me, Rick plays in the Mountain West Conference. So I haven't seen really haven't seen much of Rick and Morty. I just know he's a mess. That's from what I hear, but I haven't actually seen any footage or anything like that. Yeah.
Well, do not worry, Shannon. We got you.
We got you, Shannon. Sit down, buddy.
We got
Pour
you.
yourself a drink. We got you covered.
Yeah.
Rick is that classic. If you think he's cool and you want to be like him, you don't get it. There's a lot of characters in pop culture history where people are like, yeah, they're the best. It's like, nah, if you think he's cool, then you don't get it. You're not paying attention. I think Rick has the potential to be a great dad. I think he wants to be a great dad, but he has issues that he's not willing to work on to become a great dad. He's getting there, right? I think no, he's getting there slowly. But man, the things this guy has done, the toxic things that he has done to his grandson, his wife, and not because maybe he doesn't understand what he's doing. He knows he's the smartest man in the universe. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's a selfish person, but damn it, is he not one of the funniest people on TV?
If the question was who is the funniest dad, we'd have some problems here. But the question is he the best dad? And I'll tell you right now, he might be the worst dad. He might be the worst dad. The things he does to Morty, just Morty, let alone the mental anguish and trauma that he has caused every single person who is featured in this show. It's actually impressive. The ways that he leaves his own daughter doesn't know if she's a clone or not. That's terrible. That is horrible. Yeah. So no, he's a bad man.
I feel like if you took Rick, his abilities, and you gave him like Bandit's like just pure dadness, you would have the greatest dad in all of existence, right?
You're
the
describing
Rick has.
The Bible.
The Bible, yes, I didn't want to say it, but yes, that is God.
The Bible. That is God.
The love of Bandit Healer with the abilities of Rick Sanchez. God.
That is a religion, Mark Jones. We're not even talking dad anymore. We're talking the dad.
The father. And that just shows the potential that Rick has, but he's just such a toxic, dare I say, evil person? No, let me take that back. I don't want to say Rick's evil. He's not a good person.
He's just bad guy. He's just not a good guy. Yeah. Rick versus Al. Who is the best dad?
By a slim margin. Because neither. Yeah, that's true. Nobody wanted to watch this game. This was but a slim margin. For me, I put Al Bundy. Bundy beats Rick.
I give it to Rick only because I didn't finish Married with Children, but it seems like Rick is trying in this last season. He's trying. I don't ever remember Al trying, so he might have, but I got to give credit where credit's due. He's making an effort to be a better person, so I got to give it to Rick.
I'm gonna give it to Al, and I'm giving it to Al not to poo-poo on Rick, but because I do remember Al's moments. They were far and few between, but it was anytime his kids were in actual danger. When someone was like, when like a degenerate dude was actually like going against Kelly, he'd step up and like kick him out of the house. Or if someone was like going to kill Bud, he would like step in and be like, hey, like, no, like, let me check you. I scored 4 touchdowns in a single game. Like, chill out. So like he would do that on a regular, and that gives the slim margin over the fact that while Rick is trying, his attempts are just slowly torturing everyone around him. Just slowly torturing in horrendous ways everyone around him.
Fellas, here's the one reason why I give Rick, Al one, but this is Rick made a robot to satisfy his family's needs just so he wouldn't have to talk to him. And I'm like, that's effort. Like, you're not a good person, so you make a robot to act like you're a good person for your family. There's a little bit of effort in there.
And the show doesn't tell you, but something's going on for 3 episodes, and then you find out that he's a robot. Anyways, okay, this is not a Rick and Morty episode. Let's move on. Danny Tanner from Full House versus Red Forman. Who's the best dad?
Red.
I put Danny. I'm gonna be honest here. I don't really know why. I was just like, I think maybe it's because it was again. This tournament has so many great ones that I want to say it's hard to advance as a singular person. Like, you got to have a supporting cast, supporting team. Yeah, I have him because he has such a strong team, though he's not the strongest player.
I picked Red because Red, not only did Red raise Eric, he raised all of his son's stupid friends. Reluctantly, he was like, Red came home, he's like, why are all these kids in my house? Like, but he still made sure they came out to be good people. So I gotta give it to Red.
Yeah, like, let's be honest. That group of kids, the worst things they did was get high in the basement. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not that bad. And you knew they were getting high on a regular in your basement, and knowing who you were, that would be enough reason for you to like choke the mess out of your son. But you did it. You did it, Red. Because you knew you wanted to work on your patience, and I love you for it, Red. And that's why you're moving on. It's gonna be hard for me to not let it ride with Red. But anyways, next is Uncle Phil versus Al Bundy.
I mean, fellas, it's Uncle Phil, right? Do we
I
have to really talk
already
about
wrote him down.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the actual battle here in the West bracket. Uncle Phil, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air versus Red Forman from the 70s Show. Who's the best dad?
I don't even know how there can be a thing. Uncle Phil. Uncle Phil. Yeah. Philip Banks goes. Again, Red really put forth an effort, but he still gets beat by 38 points.
Yeah. Red is a great guy. Red is TN. Solid fighter, strong fighter, but he's fighting a Super Saiyan in this battle, and there's no place for him. Maybe if this was the Tournament of Power, we'd find a spot for you, Red, but you're not gonna beat Uncle Phil. But I had a pleasure watching you try.
Yeah, I it's funny enough that you said that, because I was gonna say this is like the 2008 Virginia State basketball champions in Red going against the 96 Bulls in basketball. Like, I love you, Red, but you going against the GOAT. Like, come on, bro. There's not a chance. There's not a chance.
It's like Red's that boat in Perfect Storm at the end, and Uncle Phil's that wave. It's like, oh, are they gonna make it? Oh no, they didn't make it.
They're not gonna make it. But you watch. You're like, maybe
you watch.
Nah.
You thought they were gonna make it, but they're not gonna make it.
All right, y'all. Let's move on to the last bracket, which would technically be the South bracket, but because of our number 1 seed, I'm calling it the North bracket.
Yes.
So we have Ned Stark, Rick Grimes, Splinter, and Dre Johnson in the North bracket. Our number 1 seed is Ned Stark from Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones went on the HBO from 2011 to 2019. Ned Stark was played by Sean Bean, and he is the father of Robb, Sansa, Arya, Bronn, Rickon, and the pseudo-parents to Jon Snow and Theon Greyjoy, based off of the premise of the TV show. How do y'all feel about Ned Stark coming into the tournament?
I love Ned Stark. I think he's the best dad in Game of Thrones.
Can we say by far? No ifs, ands, or buts, the best dad on Game of Thrones?
I think he is the best dad in Game of Thrones. When he left the show, as I'll call it, I was like, well, what's gonna happen? Where's the rest of the show? You killed the best character. What are you gonna do now?
My favorite character.
Ned was such a good dad that even to the end of that show, people were still talking about him. People were still mentioning him. He had a presence. The Starks were the Starks because of Ned, and he's well suited for a number 1 seed.
Big surprise. I hadn't really watched Game of Thrones, so yeah.
Oh, Shannon!
Again,
Shannon!
if anything, I started watching House of the Dragon like a few weeks ago, so even then, so I don't know much of anything about.
No, Shannon, stop watching House of the Dragon and go watch Game of
What I gotta say about Ned Stark, he's the most honorable man in Westeros, and Westeros is a world that is in Game of Thrones, and Game of Thrones is one of the greatest TV shows ever. I still am petty about the last season, but it is still one of the greatest TV shows ever that deserves a number 1 seed. And you know what? Just look at the accomplishments all of his children did. Like, well, maybe not all, because
No, all you can talk about. Well, yeah, okay.
Rickon,
Rickon. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on before
you should have zagged, buddy.
Yeah, come on, brother. For the 2 seed in this bracket, we have Master Splinter from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, 1987 to 1996, voiced by Peter Renate or Renate. Anyways, Peter. Splinter is the father to Leonardo, Donatello, Raphael, and Michelangelo. Fellas, how do y'all feel about Splinter coming into the tournament?
Well, the way I feel about Splinter, Splinter, in every incarnation of the Turtles, Splinter is fantastic. I haven't seen one, maybe in Rise, but even in Rise, he turns out to be like a really, really great father. If you take any incarnation, if he was the Splinter that turned into started as a rat and trained the Turtles, or the man who turned into a rat, the fact that you turned into a mutant rat and you took it upon yourselves to teach mutant turtles ninjutsu. You are a treasure.
Great man, yo. You are a great man.
You are in the sewers of New. It's not like they were mutant rats in the beaches of Hawaii or like in Palm Beach. They were mutants in the sewers of New York City. central. And he's like, I'm going to teach you how to be ninjas. What a great man.
Great man. Might be the best man on this bracket. Just pure great man. Sorry, Shannon. I just needed to add that part.
No, that is all true. No, love him. Like you said, yeah, teaching him to fight. He also has that thing. I feel like just like our dads, like when you're growing up, it's like, okay, you got a little bigger. It's like, I think I can take you now, Dad. They still could never take him. Like
nope.
Like, he still had that old man strength. Like
yes.
And Splinter would welcome. It's not like, don't ever try me. Oh, would you like to? My son, would you like to try me?
Yeah,
come into the dojo. And then he would teach him a lesson. Now, what did we learn today, Leonardo?
Aside from you cannot beat me. What?
I need to be aware of my surroundings, Master Splinter. Very good, my son. Now go train some more.
And that's the difference between Splinter and Batman. Splinter trained giant mutant turtles ninjutsu. He trained them to learn ninjutsu and to fight by far one of the greatest villains of all time in Oroku Saki. But that's for another day. Like, he trained them to do that, but like, he was still a dad. In every iteration of Splinter, he's always a dad. You always sense that he's their father and he raised them and he loves them. Batman trained them to be warriors for Gotham. And every now and then, depending on who's writing or who's like making the show, you might get a sense that he's a dad. But Splinter, there's no question. That's their dad. He just so happens to be an amazing teacher in ninjutsu.
Yes. Batman trained soldiers to fight his war. Splinter trained his sons because he knew the world would not accept them. And he's like, well, at least you will be ninjas who can vanish into the night and protect yourselves. Yes. Master Splinter is a treasure. He probably should be in the rafters with Cliff Huxtable, now that I'm thinking about it. But here we are. He's in the tournament.
What are we doing? This is the Hall of Fame dad.
His jersey, a tattered bathrobe, basically. That's it.
You know that jersey stinks. You know that jersey smells horrible.
He is a giant sewer-infested rat. Yes, it smells terrible. Our 3 seed is Dre Johnson from Blackish. Blackish is an ABC sitcom that came from 2014 to 2022, played by Anthony Anderson. And Dre was the father of Zoe, Jr., Jack, Diane, and Devontae. And so I think I said that John Goodman was probably the most decorated character and actor. He does have one big competition, and that is Anthony Anderson and Dre Johnson. This man was nominated for almost all the awards out here, and he won a lot of awards. It just so happens that those awards were the NAACP awards, but he won a lot of those awards. So, as regards to decoration, this is probably one of the biggest ones up here. The only competition is Dan Connor. What do y'all think about Dre Johnson in the tournament?
When I remember to this day, the first time I watched Blackish, I watched the first episode. I'm pretty sure it was Junior wanted a bar mitzvah because everyone he went to school with was Jewish, and I was like, oh man, is this just going to be like one black joke, like black people do this, or black? And I did not have a good feeling about Blackish, but Blackish turned into one of my favorite TV shows. But Dre's great. I love Dre as a character, but he is petty.
Terrible. He's terrible.
He's petty. He's narcissistic. He's insecure. He loves his family, but he does. I feel like if he had more confidence, he would be a better TV dad. But his lack of confidence and his just pettiness kind of makes him suffer. But his family dynamic elevates him in that show. So I think it's kind of like a Danny Tanner situation because everyone else on that team, that's why Dre is here. Push come to shove, I think Dre is one of the best dads on this list. But given his, suburb of LA lifestyle and, plenty of, his wife who's a neurosurgeon, if Dre was put into Julius's spot, I don't think he'd be a very good dad. I think that family dynamic would crumble and it would break immediately.
It's funny you say that. Mentioning Blackish, I feel like I can pinpoint the exact episode when I began to like it, because same, didn't like it till I think it was episode 3, like the spanking episode, where that was like, oh, like that's where they went. So and obviously the thing there, Dre had growth as well. I think there was so much growth, and I'm like, I don't know if there's another dad on here with that much growth, because a lot of them are. Yeah, like a lot of them, like, I mean, they are where they are. Like, I mean, Uncle Phil, he was a great dad to start with. He had some moments.
Very true.
Where it was like, oh wow, you're really great. But everybody else, they were pretty much who they were. But I think Dre is amazing for the growth that he showed, which also is a lesson that's like, I think we do these things. We are like, okay, you grow to become a father, and then you don't just grow to become a father, though. It's like, as a father, you grow even more. So yeah, so I think that's pretty dope with him.
Yeah. Goku grew in power levels, but can't really say he grew in capacity as a dad. So that's a real one right there. All right. The 4th seed in this bracket is Rick Grimes, is a dad from The Walking Dead. Walking Dead went on AMC from 2010 to 2022. This character was played by Andrew Lincoln, and he was the father of Coral and Judith. Potentially. I don't actually know if he's a dad, but I'm assuming he is the dad of Judith. What do y'all think about Rick Grimes?
I'll jump in. Rick, I think he says in the later episode of Michonne that he knows Judith isn't mine. He knows that that's Shane's baby. But
oh my God.
But
he just got 2 points on his dad.
But
scale.
he loved her nevertheless. I bailed out on The Walking Dead. I probably stayed a lot longer than I should have. I bailed out in later seasons, but it wasn't because of Rick. It wasn't because of Rick Grimes, because his love of Carl. We got the Walkers, Carl. And we ain't them. We ain't them. Man, I tell you, Rick Grimes this man dragged himself out of a hospital bed during the zombie apocalypse and found his family, found his like Lori and Carl. Andrew Lincoln's trying so hard to hide that British accent. He is fighting to hide that accent.
His life, fighting for his life, bro. You were on this show for almost a decade, and you still haven't perfected a country accent?
This man, damn, bro, coming to the set in sweat trying to hide that accent. But hey, man, I love Rick, his signature Magnum gun. Rick has some great moments. Everything he did for his son. I love, like, to this day, I'm a Carl Walkers. And yes, man. And Rick is down for the swirl because he hooked up with Michonne, man. Come on, Rick. Rick knows a good woman when he sees one. And Rick knows
gotta love it. Hey, gotta love it.
He knows a good woman when he sees one.
Hooked up should have put him in the 3 seed, to be honest with you.
Rick's woman is not only Michonne, she's a Dora Milaje. Come on. Rick Grimes for the win. Let's go.
Oh no, I'm with you. Yeah, Rick is that dude. Unstoppable. And yeah, to your point, as you said, he got himself from a hospital, all of that during a zombie apocalypse there was no compass, there was no map. His only guide point was the love of family, and that's what got him to where he was going. And yes, I mean, we love her just the same, but yeah, Judith ain't his. But he cared for her just like she was.
Let's jump in. First, we have Splinter versus Dre Johnson. Who's the best dad?
Master Splinter. This isn't even a competition. Like Master Splinter, Master Splinter, Master Splinter.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with you there, Master Splinter. Master Splinter.
No, I'm just saying Zoe and Junior and Jack and Diane don't know ninjutsu. And they're not mutants. They haven't saved New York City from Shredder.
All those kids, like I watched a little bit of Grownish. They went to, college and got their education. The Turtles have saved time itself. They have multiverse traveled and saved existence as we know it because of Master Splinter's training.
In a few
times.
Anyway, Splinter is in. All right. Next, Ned Stark versus Rick Grimes. Who is the best dad?
I'm gonna go. Obviously, it's bias here because of what I've seen and not, but I'm going Rick Grimes here. Again, love guides them through zombies, all of that.
I give it to Rick, and the reason why I give it to Rick is because Ned, as good as a man as he is, he did not prep his children for the world they lived in, and he kept things from them that could have saved them a lot of trouble and heartache, but not Rick Grimes. Rick Grimes was going to find Coral. I was going to find you, Coral and Lori, and against these walkers, So I got to give it to Rick Grimes.
Hey, guess what, y'all? Unanimous. Unanimous for all the reasons you said and more. Guess what? Rick could actually kill the Walking Dead. It wasn't a war. Anytime it was him versus them, he won.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it was just him by himself with a gun and hope and a prayer, and he won. I cannot say the same for Westeros. So take that for what it is. Anyways, next we have Rick versus Splinter. Who's the best at?
Is wild. I'm gonna say Rick. I'm gonna say Rick.
Oh,
I'm gonna say Rick here. Huge fan of The Walking Dead. I stayed with it. And I'll be like, Rick Grimes disappears for a while, but when he's there, he's all about family. He's a leader. And also, even with him as a dad, he basically went through a period of he was like the dad, alpha male, this and that, or like, clear leader. He was basically like a dog for somebody. Like I say that in terms of like, this dude had him shook, and then he still came back to, I am the person in charge, and
yeah.
And I guess his kids even then respect him. Because I was like, that's sort of like if you ever see your dad get beat up or something, it's like, how could you sort of? But I feel like somehow he had that ability to like,
it really did happen.
Yeah.
It's like somehow he had that ability to be like, look, I got beat up in front of my kids and stuff, but I still somehow got the respect that I needed or had.
Shannon, I understand everything you said. I give this one to Splinter because if Splinter was in the situation that Rick was in with Negan, Splinter would, yes, Negan, we will give you half of everything. And then Splinter would talk to the turtles, not yet, my turtles, not yet. Soon we will make our move. And then one day, without even telling them, now turtles, and the turtles would know, and they would have rocked Negan's world, and it would have been ended immediately. Rick had to like come back from being a dog, from being someone's lapdog, and gain his son's trust. And I think Splinter just has that. If the turtles saw Splinter taking what Rick took, they would know, like, oh, our dad has something planned. All right, let's chill. Dad has something planned, and when he tells us it's time to move, we're gonna move. So that's why I give it to Splinter.
And I did too. And the fact of the matter is, Splinter is just a better person than Rick. Splinter would have, like, for all the reasons you said, Mark, Splinter is just a better leader. I trust this mutant rat more than I trust Rick Grimes. All right, just being honest. If we were in a zombie situation, I pick Splinter over almost everybody else on this list.
I'm going with the 5 foot tall rat.
I trust him. So Splinter's moving on. So our final 4 includes Bandit from Bluey. Bandit's going to be facing Carl Winslow from Family Matters. And on the other side, we have Uncle Phil from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air versus Splinter from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. First game, Bandit versus Carl Winslow. Who's the best dad?
I'm not even going to call it the recency effect. But, you know, as I said, I just started watching Bluey. But, man, Bandit, man. That's who I go with. In terms of, Bandit versus Carl, I go Bandit.
I give it to Bandit. And apparently, not only is Bandit a good father, the house apparently that they live in is in like a very high-end neighborhood. So not only is it a good father, Bandit has a solid job. Like someone on Reddit said that the Healer house is like $1 million house based off of the neighborhood they live in.
Absolutely.
So that not only is Bandit a good father, he's raking it in. I'm giving it to Bandit. Carl has that house by the skin of his teeth is because Harriet has her part-time job at the department store.
Yep. So Bandit's moving on. I have some hot takes about Bandit. He's going to the championship round, so I will save it for then. All right. On the other side, we have Uncle Phil from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air versus Splinter from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Whew. All right. Who's the best dad?
This is a big one, but Uncle Phil wins it for me. He seems to be mostly like the epitome of what you would want a great dad to be. And yeah, he wins it.
Yep. I give it to Uncle Phil. Uncle Phil has that. You ever watch movies about the civil rights movement and like the dad just knows what to say and he's like, that's not what a man is, son. And you can't. The Uncle Phil has that civil rights movie dad energy. You know, but here's the thing, fellas, Uncle Phil is a Republican, right? He's a Republican, he is a conservative, but Uncle Phil is a Republican from the Bush-Clinton era, which I feel like is very different.
Extremely different.
Extremely different from the Fox News Republicans of today. Uncle Phil marched with civil rights leaders. He was a Black Panther, understands the struggle of the Black man. And that's why I got to give it to Uncle Phil, because he is dropping those Ernest Green story, you know, remember the Titans type of knowledge on you as you grow up.
So Uncle Phil is moving on to the championship game. So I'll just give just a couple words for Splinter. And that is, he raised his sons to fight against a menace in Shredder. a global menace. This man is not from New York. His first language wasn't English. He came to New York and became the biggest crime boss of New York City.
The biggest, didn't know one lick of English and recruited kids and made them ninja warriors.
They accepted being called the Foot. They accepted it. They wanted to be called the Foot. He is the greatest menace New York has ever seen. And if it wasn't for Splinter and his 4 mutant, demonic-looking turtle sons, we would all be under the thumb of this evil guy who's not from here. So fellas, shout out to you, Splinter.
Fellas, we talked about how cool that Foot hideout look was.
Oh yeah.
with their free cigarettes
And video games.
and unlimited arcade games. Shredder knew what he was doing, dog. He knew what he
Sure
was
did.
doing, and Splinter combated that with candles and nujitsu and pizza.
Pizza. Amazing. Amazing. All right, gentlemen, here we go. The championship game. And you know what? Some would say it was destined.
Yep.
We have our two highest number one seeds coming at it to see who is the Pop Call Parent 2023 best TV dad. And that is Bandit from Bluey and Uncle Phil from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Who's the best dad?
So this is a heavyweight fight. This is a high scoring battle. Many lead changes happen here, but with a last second 3-pointer, Phillip Banks, Uncle Phil wins it.
Nels, I'm gonna ask. I'm interested in what you have to say because you and I both have been watching Bluey for a while. So I'm very interested to hear what you have to say about this.
I have to give it to Uncle Phil. Let me talk about Bandit for a second. Bandit is such a good dad that the other families in the neighborhood buy into everything that happens in that house.
Yes.
Whatever game they're playing in that house,
they're
the
in.
entire neighborhood. Bandit was a sheep. He literally acted like a sheep for 8 minutes, and everyone accepted it. They're just like, oh, Bandit's at it again. Bandit, Bluey, and Bingo at it again. And everyone accepted it. And that is amazing. But the reason I'm giving it to Uncle Phil is Uncle Phil had to do it with Hillary, Carlton, Ashley, and Will's knucklehead self. Bluey and Bingo, while they are annoying and pestering, they are adorable little girls who are going to grow up and be great kids.
Yes.
Uncle Phil had a harder job.
Yep.
Uncle Phil had a harder job, and
Okay.
he killed it. He got Will. Look, Will was a degenerate. He was just a charming, great guy, but he was a degenerate. And he turned Will into a successful, whatever he turned out to be, college graduate with a great lady, and he didn't shoot nobody, and he went to college. So I say all that to say, by a degree of difficulty, I'm giving it to Uncle Phil.
Bandit is take the coolest character from any TV show, animated, realistic, whatever, live action, and make them a dad. That's what Bandit is. Bandit was cool before he had kids, I assume, and he is a very cool dad. Like you said, Nels, anything the Healer family, whatever they're doing, people are like, oh, the Healers are acting like they're rhinoceroses. Then that's what that's what we're all doing this afternoon. We're all acting like we're
everyone, the entire town has accepted it. Comfortably. No one resisted. It's like, oh, here we go.
Because they know how good of a father Bandit is. And like you said, Nels, both Uncle Phil and Bandit make good money, but Bandit has 2 adorable children. And that Bluey might be the most trouble of those 2, and she's still a very well-behaved child. Bingo is a saint of a child. She's kind, doesn't make any trouble, doesn't make a mess. She is a saint of a child. Fellas, this was so hard of a choice for me. I almost took it down to a 2-faced coin flip. Because I couldn't. I was gonna let the coin decide because I was like, man. But I give it to Uncle Phil too.
Wow.
And this is why I give it to Uncle Phil. In a perfect world, if I could snap my fingers, Bandit is the father I want to be. If when all push on the shove, if I could, I would want to be Bandit Healer. I think in this world that I live, this world that we live with our children, what I do, who I am, my faults, my shortcomings. Uncle Phil is the best I could strive to be as a human black man. And that's why I picked Uncle Phil. He is the most realistic thing I can strive to be in the world that I live in. And that's why I pick him as the best TV dad of all time. And he has left a huge mark on so many people. Again, this man's character, we know him for being an uncle, but yet we have him as the best TV dad of all time, and that means something. He's a father to Will. He raised Will. He disciplined Will. He raised his own kids, loved his own kid, and this man was well into his 40s and had a son, like, and still took it with stride. He's got high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and he still took it with stride to raise Nikki. Uncle Phil is the man. Rest in peace, James Avery. You are the greatest of all time.
Bandit may be the better dad, but the best dad is Uncle Phil. Uncle Phil is our 2023 TV dad bracket winner. And I just got to say this, y'all. Bandit don't got a J. Cole song dedicated to him. Not yet, but I will say this. Somebody's going to come with that Bandit fire. It's coming. And we may need to revisit this bracket.
Bandit is the Harvey Dent. He's the white knight of fatherhood. He's what the standard should be. But in the pit nuclear holocaust potential world that we live in, Uncle Phil is what we need.
Philip Banks. This message is brought to you by the Philip Banks campaign.
All these dads at their heart, they're good dads. Maybe. Yeah. Most of them are good dads.
Most of them.
But man, what a shame that with like James Avery isn't around, man. Like you could tell. I don't know if you guys watched the reunion show on HBO Max, but you could tell that guy was a father to all. Will in his book, he talks about moments where James Avery like schooled him as an actor, where like Will got mad and he said, "Hey, get it together. You are an actor." Will, he's like, like James, because he's a classically trained actor. He's like, "You act, Will," and Will actually he's like, "Now that is acting." Like,
he was an actor.
He was an actor, man. So like, R.I.P. to James Avery. I wish he was here to be in more stuff, but like the man left a lasting impression on pop culture.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say just obviously he was amazing overall, but just the scene alone, the one we're all thinking of, where Will's dad, comes and go on a camping trip and then leaves. That scene alone, it's like, that is a father. That is,
you don't want me, man.
Yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, like some of that was at least maybe like the hug and everything ended up being like improvised or whatnot. Like it just happened. Mm-hmm. Like it wasn't really part of the thing. So that shows you just that connection of this character is a great father figure, but the man behind the character, I feel this, and we made this scene even better because we acted on our like true emotions. I felt this. So yeah.
Yeah, man. Hey, he got a song for a reason. I think I said Cliff Huxtable is one of my pseudo dads. Well, Uncle Phil is definitely my pseudo uncle. He definitely had a hand in raising me, and I definitely did and did not do certain things based off of what he told Will and Carl to do and not to do. And they were both some knuckleheads. So I definitely appreciate Uncle Phil.
I think one thing, the last thing I'm going to say about Uncle Phil, a lot of these dads on this list, I would fear their punishment. I would fear the punishment of Master Splinter. I would fear the punishment of Rick Grimes, right? I would hate to disappoint Uncle Phil. I would hate for Uncle Phil to look at me and be like, "I'm so disappointed in you, son," and go upstairs and leave me in the living room. And I think that says something about Uncle Phil. Like, you want to strive for this man's approval, and I think that says something about James Avery and the character.
Agreed.
Mhm.
Agreed. Bandit would just turn it into a game. It'll be fun and it'll be very educational. And then we move on.
Let's see if you can win my respect back. That would be the game.
Hey, Nels, can I just a last minute honorable mention to Lucky's dad? Lucky's dad is one of the greatest dads of all time because he gets pulled into the healer's mess all the time, and he's with it. He's like, okay, I don't know what y'all doing today, but I'm with it. Just tell me what role to be.
He is providing for his family. And Lucky's dad consistently gets screwed over. It is terrible. They are a menace to him. And he's with it. Okay, I guess this is happening now.
The healers could show up to Lucky's dad's job acting like they're pirates, and he'd be like, all right, we're pirates.
How great of a dad do you have to be? Like, that man is amazing. We don't even really talk to Lucky that much. Lucky's around every now and then, but Lucky's dad is on every episode.
He is a real one, dog. He is a real one.
Man. Whew. Shout out to Bandit. Anyways, well, thank you all for listening. We have a new episode every month. You can find us on all social media at Pop Call Parent. Visit us at www.popcallparent.com. Email us at popcallparent@gmail.com. Don't forget to rate us, review, and subscribe. And as always, join the call. Peace.
We out.